All right, so we're back after, recording a vlog and all these other things. I guess cue the intro.
Go for it.
Hello, guys. This is Two Latin Brothers Podcast, also known as T.L.B.P. I'm Victor.
And I'm Adrian.
And we're back at it again with another not vlog, although a vlog coming out soon, so pay attention to that.
We're
also, React Monday,
We've gone into the cycle now of just filming vlogs, and so this last vlog is so all over the place.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I don't even know what the timeline's gonna be like, but it'll be interesting. What was I gonna say?
I have no idea.
So, today is November the 11th.
Yes.
The day you're watching this is November 11th.
Yes.
So I don't know. Today is globally. I wouldn't say globally, but usually recognized as a day of remembrance.
Yes.
And it's for people who have fought in wars and just honoring those who fought for us and for our freedoms, and more or less never forgetting what really went on and all of these global conflicts that occurred. And so we just figured we should address that at some point in this episode.
So we're just getting that out of the way now.
Yeah.
Giving our moment, not really a moment of silence, but a moment of remembering the fact that, if it wasn't for the decisions that were taken way back when, during the Second World War,
at least in Canada,
we wouldn't have the same freedoms we have today. And we should be grateful for the fact that, things are for most of the part of the world, in freedom.
Right, yeah. And even in the First World War, there was a lot of stuff that happened. And there's been a lot of global conflicts that have happened over the years that, are worth remembering. And not to say that any one of them is less. It's just today is known as that day, a day of remembrance, a day of, reminding the world of some of the horrible things that happened, but at the same time, the result of those things happening.
Yes, you can call it a reflection of history.
Right, yeah, for sure.
A notice to and reminder of the fact that there was loss.
A lot.
There was a lot of loss, and it lasted a really long time. We're just showing that part of respect to the day.
Right.
Now that we have that out of the way, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
We are, another episode of the podcast as usual. You keep messing with the Grogu, man.
Yeah, it's because he looks a little off center, so it's just pulling him more this way.
Okay, but just leave him.
Just adjusting, It bugs me. No, don't pull him. Don't pull him by the ear.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I've been occupied by school.
Right. Yes. Right? Of course. Yes. School.
People starting their own projects.
Mm-hmm.
Really interesting seeing. Because I'm in a radio and podcasting environment.
Right. For sure. Yeah.
It's interesting seeing other people try to pick up,
the craft.
Yeah.
I think it's also interesting that you and. I guess we can say this on here because they don't know. Yeah. But a lot of the people, they don't know what your side hustle is.
Yeah. And they don't. It's really interesting because I see myself way back when in the beginning of the podcast. No idea what I'm doing. Absolutely no idea.
It's very challenging to know what you're doing. Also, there's a lot of policies you have to read.
Yeah.
Among other things based on, platform or, for example, when we did the move to YouTube, we're like, okay, well, we can't have certain topics be said or certain, ideas said. So getting hosts became a little bit more interesting. Same thing with, and just like in general, the privacy stuff and
Yep.
there's a lot of things they need to take into account, but at the same time, it's also a lot of fun because you learn you have a voice
Oh yeah.
that you didn't know you had prior to doing it.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. It's what you do with that voice.
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, the hundreds of people who have listened to this probably know I don't have a voice.
I have a voice that is heard once a week, or 3 times a week.
I mean,
Or 2 times a week.
I mean, like nothing like really impactful. I mean, sometimes we'll throw out some psychology. Sometimes we'll throw out some.
Sometimes we throw out some of our own opinions. Not that you have to agree with them. It's just my opinion.
Yeah, of course. Like obviously, like everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
Even if I disagree with you.
I mean, even like sometimes we'll be talking on the podcast about something, and even we'll disagree on certain things.
Oh yeah.
Right, and
Absolutely.
that's the thing, like having like an open space to have those things and like agree or disagree, but at the same time, it's also interesting to see like that play out because like from my perspective,
Yeah.
sometimes you'll disagree with something.
Yeah.
I'll be like, well, I don't think so,
Yeah.
and then I'll be like, maybe he's too young. But I'm like, no, it's not that.
Yeah.
Like something else is making him
Yeah.
think like that, and then I'll like I don't know. Also, because like I've seen you grow up
Yeah.
as like your brother, so that also plays into a part of it.
Yeah. And it's interesting because your opinions are built off the people around you.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not just your family. So whenever we disagree on something,
yeah.
it's not the family.
Yeah.
That's something else.
It's external.
It's external.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting seeing that be a part of like our dynamic.
Right, but it also means that our friend group,
Yeah.
like because like you had a different friend group, like you had a really diverse friend group
Oh yeah.
compared to I mean mine was still diverse but not as diverse growing up.
Yeah.
And like especially like in my elementary school days,
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty diverse, but in your case I feel like it was more so because you guys have like more freedom of expression, I guess, as opposed to with me, like we were all like walking on eggshells around each other, like trying not to offend, and you guys are just like flat out like no care in the world, just like
Yeah, see, like here's the thing though. Honestly, with like the whole generation thing,
right.
honestly, I feel like there should already be a division between my generation and the rest of this generation. And
Like
here's why.
the younger ones.
Yeah, the younger ones.
Right.
And here's why.
Okay.
Because I find the secondhand offense to be a reoccurring thing with the younger people.
Oh, but that's not even your guys. Like that's my guys.
Kind of.
A lot of millennials are. Well, I'm not even a millennial, but a lot of our guys, they are. How do I put it? They're the ones who started that.
Yeah.
Like they're the ones who started that movement.
Yeah, I've never understood. We're just too sensitive.
Oh, okay. Okay. Like I mean, yes,
And like
and no,
I disassociate myself
with those people.
with my own generation
Right.
because I don't have that kind of mentality.
Like I think the other thing too is, which I think is super interesting, is the fact that you guys, your freedom of information is crazy. I think you guys suffer from information overload.
In a
Like
sense.
to the point where it's become like the wrong information.
I wouldn't call that.
No, okay, so like
information overload.
what I mean by that is the sense that like you wonder something, just go Google it. You go and you Google it, and you only read like the first tab or the first couple of certain things that pop up, right? Or even within the actual Google search.
Yeah. See, like if I
like
want to inform,
say like you go to Google,
yeah,
so you type in dolphins or apples, right? So you type in apples because there's an apple on the Discord. That's the reason why I said that. So say you type in apples, right? And then on the Google search, it'll show you pictures of different apples. It'll show you all the different apple names, and then there'll be like a little blurb that explains like the apple comes from a tree, like the Latin word for the tree, and like all the different stuff, right? Yeah. But you never left Google. Like you were always on the Google. Like so, like it's not even like
you're just reading like the slight summary keyword that Google was able to find
right
off a bunch of articles. So you're just scrolling through Google, reading the headlines,
right,
but not actually reading.
Right.
I don't really tend to do that. If I want,
Okay, right,
if I
right,
want
but
to actually, if I'm in a rush,
yeah.
everyone does that.
No,
It's
but
not just us.
what I'm getting at is that is the most common way
Mm-hmm.
people use Google.
Mm-hmm.
Like no one goes diving and find like
It's
the
literally
right.
a search engine.
Yeah.
Thus the search.
Right. No, but you get what I mean. Like that's like the limited amount of research we do.
Yeah, and now people are using TikTok like that.
Oh my. Okay, so like your generation. Like, I can't remember what stat it was. I think it was. I was looking at it the other day. How in America most teenagers get their news from TikTok.
Yeah. Yep.
I was blown away by that.
Yeah. I honestly, and it depends too.
Well, I also
because
well, I mean,
that's where the misinformation comes into play.
right.
Because there are some people, I'm not gonna give any names. There are some people on TikTok
Yeah,
that do give misinformation,
for sure.
and
Yeah.
that's their whole niche, news. But they're
Okay.
giving misinformation.
Okay, so there's this guy who he's been calling out these two podcasters
Mm-hmm.
who like they do a lot of like conspiracy theory things or like
Mhm.
have you heard like sort of thing, right? And
Yeah.
it'll turn into this whole thing where apparently like half of them are just made up. Like and they'll be talking about like specific like geographical locations and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's not true. He's like, I'm an actual like I actually studied this.
Oh.
He's like, that we've known that for like hundreds of years. This isn't something that just started happening overnight.
Yeah.
Like this isn't like people are like blowing their mind. Like 'cause the way they describe it's like it just started happening like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
This guy's like, it's been like that for like 100 years. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Like,
So it's very interesting to see that, like TikToks on other TikToks, like debunking certain things.
oh yeah, and in a sense, when you learn the truth, in a sense,
Yeah.
if you fall into those rabbit holes.
Right. Like the time traveler rabbit hole.
Yeah. Like,
The time travel rabbit hole on TikTok is crazy.
honestly, don't search up time travel. You'll see so much. You'll see so many different things. You'll see
it's
a
honestly
story.
crazy.
You'll see a story of a man who came from the future with a photo of the future that looks like something that somebody threw in, literally like Photoshop, like 2008. I don't know.
2000. No, I think it's interesting that out of like if you're a time traveler,
Yeah.
out of all places,
Yeah.
jump on TikTok. That's the first like you come to our time
Well, because it's one of the most major social media
platforms of our time.
So if you want to get reach, it makes sense.
Why don't you just go to like the news?
Exactly my point. If you're legit, why not go to mainstream media?
Right. That's what I'm getting at, right? And also like
I mean, there has
okay,
been
so
some
there was
time
this like
travelers.
and there's like obviously like this whole thing with like the specific dates and stuff,
Yeah.
which I'm not even gonna get into because
Yeah.
that's just
See, books are better like time travelers than actual people who claim to be time travelers.
it's just so complicated. Okay, so there's only one instance where like I pity a guy because he seems so convinced. Is that German researcher? Have you ever heard of that guy?
No.
Okay, so there was a guy who during the Second World War,
Yeah.
he was part of like this German project where they were trying to like do time travel stuff.
Okay.
Like, and he was part of it, and like they were like using these types of like devices to try and do that. And he says that he was part of the crew
Yeah.
that was sent into the future. And he says that when he showed up, when he went through, he says that like he went through like a gate sort of thing, and he says that when he came out on the other side, he says everyone was like in like a silver jumpsuit, and like he describes seeing things before we even had proper terms. Like, so he describes holographic technology that didn't even exist yet, right? And even now, like it's like bare bones, holographic, right? So he's describing these sorts of things and like devices that they use to communicate and like how they're able to talk to each other. It's like people had phones on their wrists, like and cars that could float, right? Like he's describing all of these things, right? And this is like right after the Second World War. Like this is like right. And he says that one of the people on the crew, because it was just him and this other guy.
Yeah.
The other guy stayed, and he came back.
Oh wow.
Right. And so like the ongoing theory is that he was hypnotized into seeing all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But the way he's talking, like, because there's a video,
Yeah,
like,
like
video
he's
of it,
convinced. Like
and
you can see the
yeah, like you can see it in his expression, in his face, that
Yeah.
he's 100% convinced that this is like legit.
Yeah. See, like that's what I've never understood.
Right.
Why in like movies, TV shows, like in the future, like
Yeah.
high tech, why are we all in jumper suits? Did we
Right.
lose fashion? Did we all just give up? And then when it's like middle class, high class that are wearing the jumper suits,
Right.
and then you go to like the low class, and then everybody's like wearing clothes like us,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, what? What's the point?
What's going on, right?
Yeah, like why?
They're all space adventurers, they're ready to jump into a spaceship at any moment.
Why wear a jumper suit?
No, man. What if they figure out how to like space travel super fast and we don't have dinner on Mars?
What's the point of the suit? I can wear a normal suit.
I mean, I guess.
Get a nice classy one, What's the point?
You need 5 kinds of suits.
Okay.
No, but you get what I mean. Like it.
Yeah, but like it's just
And
I've
stuff
never
like-
understood that.
Yeah, but that kind of stuff, like, I don't know, some of that stuff freaks me out.
Yeah.
Cause like sometimes I like, especially that German guy.
Yeah.
Like after you hear that,
Yeah.
like, and especially like with his demeanor and his voice,
Yeah.
like back then,
His body language is
yeah,
convincing.
back then, you'd be convinced he actually like, especially in that time period,
Oh, yeah.
if you were alive during that time,
Yep.
you would be convinced that, oh yeah, that guy totally time
That
traveled.
guy time travel.
That
yeah.
guy totally time
And
traveled. There's no way.
I find it scary though.
Yeah.
Like mainly for the reason because sometimes some time travelers say something like around this year, this will happen.
Right.
And then something similar happens.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It's like that. It's like the whole COVID thing
Yeah.
with that writer
Yeah. There was a writer that literally mentions of a disease
from the place.
from Wuhan that came out to attack the world.
Yeah.
And the disease comes out of Wuhan, China.
Yeah. And he calls it Wuhan virus 19.
Yeah.
Like the exact number. And it's the similar.
It's freaky.
That like, and I remember they were talking about it on the news.
Yeah.
I was like,
And
yo,
like
man,
even like the
way it
cover
spreads.
the cover of the book
Yeah.
is even creepy.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, whoa. Like I got chills. I almost wanted to read the book, but I'm like,
At the
I
same
don't know-
time, like,
I don't know if I want to read
Yeah,
that
I don't know.
book.
I don't know if I want to know what's in
Yeah.
it, right? And stuff like that. Like, I just think it's that kind of stuff.
It's also like The Simpsons.
yeah, man.
That's creepy.
There has to be
there
be
are
somebody.
scenes in The Simpsons where they make a prediction,
Yeah,
like the Queen.
yeah, man. Like
Whoa, guys.
Donald
Whoa.
Trump being president.
Yeah.
The Twin Towers.
Yeah.
Like there are things that they do. Like man, it's like it's
It's
so precise.
It's almost like there's a higher being telling us, "Watch out."
Yeah, but at the
And then
same time, like, who's the writer? Like
Yeah.
like I want to know who the writer is.
Yeah.
Like, if it's imagine it's the same guy
For
every
one of those
time,
episodes.
every one of those. He's like, I
He's
have
one of
this
the
idea.
guys who claimed to be a time traveler, but no one believed him, so he just hushed. And now he's just sneaking them into episodes.
That would be crazy. That would be absolutely crazy. It's also like the people
Yeah.
who claim they were being abducted by aliens.
oh yeah,
Like
that
those.
also freaks me out.
Okay, when I hear about that sort of stuff, or like people who see, like they say they've seen like flying saucers and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and this guy, like, I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes like some of them,
Yeah.
they just sound crazy.
Yeah.
Like some of them, like based on like their body language, I'm like something's not right. Like the mental state of this
Yeah.
person, like something's not right.
Yeah.
But then there are other people who, like, when they talk about it,
Yeah.
they're like so convinced, and you're just like, I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. I think it's
See,
true.
like, and now that like the Pentagon's slowly releasing footage of unidentified flying objects, not to say that they're aliens, but all the conspiracy theorists are like, we've been telling you for years.
Yeah.
We showed you guys this exact stuff,
Yeah.
and no one believed us.
It's like Roswell. They made a whole show because of that.
Yeah,
Like,
there's just so much. I feel like there's probably technology out
well,
there.
like, yeah, of course. I mean, a lot of people say that. Actually, there's a guy who he worked in like one of the Area 51s
Yeah,
sort of thing. And he was on, I think it was on a Joe Rogan podcast.
he was on one of the areas.
Yeah. And he was explaining how they have a flying saucer.
Uh,
in one of these places.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, I'm allowed to talk about this. He's like, because the government doesn't believe anybody will believe me.
Yeah.
He's like, so I'm going to tell you everything. And he starts describing like certain things. And he's like, the flying saucer that they have, he's like, no one knows how to use it. Like, we still don't even know how it runs. He's like, and they've had it sitting there for like 30 years. We still have no idea how it works properly.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. Well, for starters, rewind. I'm like, for 30 years and we haven't figured out how this works.
Yeah.
I'm like, it has to.
How advanced is it?
Right. Also, like, not to say that we weren't pretty advanced, but like a lot of my phone's going off. A lot of people who although they didn't have the technology available to them, they figured out a lot of these formulas.
What?
Like, we have like formulas that are like super advanced, like ahead of our time, and like Albert Einstein's one of those guys.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He like
that guy was an alien.
the gravity one, like where like, he like figured that out, and then the technology came around where we could properly test it.
Yeah.
And then the theory became reality. It's like, oh, okay. So this guy was like
his relativity, his sub-relativity theory.
Right. Stuff like that where it's just like, man, like, how are these guys? How did he do that?
Yeah. There's just some minds out there. And there's those conspiracy theorists who are like, aliens live among us.
Yeah.
They look just like us.
Yeah.
But they're smarter and they've already breeded into us.
Yeah.
But those smarter people have like the bloodline.
Right.
And then you're just like, you think back to like the smartest people and you're like, kind of
like, okay, that really crazy, like super gifted guy,
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a minute. There was always something off about that guy.
It's a little weird.
but that's like how it goes, right? Too much smart, you lose something else, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem with the human brain. It's not that it's a problem. It's like
that's
the dilemma.
That's the biggest issue with well, not every person who's gifted.
Yeah.
But like kid geniuses.
Right, yeah.
Like actual kid geniuses. Not somebody who just like skipped like 4 grades.
Yeah.
But like someone who by the time they were in middle school, they were like, okay, I'm almost ready to like just graduate high school.
Right. Like I remember there was a kid who he was back in the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Actually no, let's say late 2000s.
Yeah.
There was a kid who he was on Oprah. He was 14 years old and he was about to finish medical school.
Yeah.
Like as a surgeon.
Yeah.
And then Oprah asks him, do you think that anybody like ethically would let a 14-year-old operate on like a person? And his response is like this. He's like, but I'm more qualified than most of the people in the room.
Yeah.
Like, what do you say to like? How do you reply to that? Like,
See, here's where I'd rebuttal. Rebuttal.
So here's what Oprah goes. She's like, I personally wouldn't feel comfortable because you don't have the same level of experience. And you may be qualified to do it or overqualified to do it, but you don't carry the same level of experience.
Yeah.
Right. So that is kind of like where they landed on like
adaptability.
Right.
Is
yeah.
critical.
Right. Yeah. So I don't remember what happened to that kid.
Yeah.
But I remember he did finish. He did finish like.
See, like even then, like cool, yeah, but I wouldn't have a 14-year-old as my doctor.
Yeah, for sure. No way.
Hormones all over the place.
Yeah.
Making decisive decisions, especially at that age.
Yeah.
Even if their brain shows levels of maturity, there's still that sense of like you don't have control over your emotions at 100%.
Right.
Even now, I can say I don't have my emotions controlled 100%.
I mean, most people don't, but
yeah. Well,
I mean, we have them relatively in check, but there are certain triggers that we
but like by the time you're 25, oddly enough.
Oh man.
By the time you're 25, the ability to control your emotions is day and night. It should be day and night. You should be able to tame your emotions down. Let's say from having a form of, let's say that you're being stressed out, okay? Let's say you're in surgery, a critical decision has to be made. Technically, your brain is more calm than the 14-year-old. The 14-year-old just broke down, you're still standing.
Oh yeah, I mean, but that I feel
and
like
that's not only experience, because I'm sure you haven't been in a surgical room, right?
I mean, I obviously I haven't been in a surgical room,
but
but
your brain has developed that trait of being able to handle stress.
right, yeah, because I've been in stressful situations.
Yeah.
But I think it's more
So
but
adaptability.
that's more of fight or flight.
No.
I mean, not fight or flight. What's the other? There's the other one. Another one like that. I can't remember what it's called. There's another word for it. I can't remember what it's called.
No.
There's another word for like when you're in a high stress situation, but like you're able to cope. There's another word for it. I can't remember. But
oh man, I can't.
yeah, I can't remember it either. But there's a anyway when you're able to carry yourself in a stressful situation.
Yeah.
Like you're under pressure, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You're able to go.
Put yourself in a go mode, but
Right.
it's not fight or flight.
And it's not overextending your ability either.
Yeah.
Right? This is a great conversation, but we'll be right back after this commercial break. Hey guys, sorry I'm interrupting this video. I'm here to tell you to follow both our Instagrams and the podcast Instagram. Bro, what do you think about that?
Yeah, man, I approve this message.
And we're back. All right.
So going back to conspiracy theories.
Oh, he jumped right into it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm jumping right back into it. So going back to conspiracy theories, do you know of any other interesting ones?
I mean, there's that 5G. No, I'm kidding.
Oh man, no, let's not get into that one.
Okay, have you heard about the gas one?
The gas one.
You haven't heard of the gas?
I
Okay,
haven't heard of
okay.
it.
So a lot of people. Okay, so this one was huge in America, and it was so dumb.
Okay.
All right, so like when you go to the gas pump
Yes.
and you pumping gas,
No.
and you're pumping gas,
Okay.
and it starts pumping,
Yes.
and nothing's coming out.
Yes.
Okay, so here's that. Okay,
Uh-huh.
actually, Hank Green did a great TikTok on it,
Okay.
which I'm basically gonna give the rundown of how he explained it.
Okay.
So he's like, so when you're using so a lot of people, they were putting like a funnel on their like gas thing,
Uh-huh.
and then pouring the gas in like that. Like you're letting out all the air because there's all this air going into it. And then Hank Green did a TikTok where he's like,
Yeah.
don't do that. The fumes of gas are actually pretty bad for you.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be breathing those in.
Yeah.
He's like, that's why when you're pumping gas, they say to look away so you don't breathe in the fumes. Even though some people like the smell of it, he's like, that you shouldn't be doing that. And then he's like, the reason why it starts counting gas without anything actually coming out is because the sensor is at the bottom of the tube.
Yeah.
It's like right connected to the tank.
Yeah.
So it's like,
So by the time it's pulling,
yeah,
and
but
it hasn't reached
the.
It's like a straw.
Yeah.
And the moment you started sucking on the straw, is the counter started, but you haven't gotten anything in your mouth yet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what he's trying to explain, right? And there's like this whole thing, like people are like this, like gas companies did this on purpose.
Yeah.
So you're losing like $3. What is this? One guy was like, he was like $1.50 of gas before your gas starts.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, whoa, dude, like you have no idea how this works.
Like it's counting properly.
Yeah, it's just you just don't know how it works,
It's
right?
like a
So
straw.
and like apparently that's why you're supposed to wait like after you let go, you're supposed to wait like a couple of seconds to let it all finish. Because like I've seen where like people like pull a thing and just start pulling it out, and they'll be like gas will start pouring out on like the floor and stuff, and I'm like, oh man, like that's
those last few drops that are
it just like start pouring, it starts pouring out.
Yeah.
So like it's really interesting to see that, but
Gas companies are scamming us. $1.50.
like it's but there is that whole conspiracy, like that whole thing where the products are shrinking, but they're staying the same price, like the Coca-Cola bottle.
Yeah.
And you decide the Coca-Cola apparently doesn't actually hold a liter, but it says a liter.
Huh.
Like somebody
I don't know
tested it.
about
I can't remember who tested this. This was done on like live television.
Yeah. I don't know.
This was done. I think this was on CNN.
See, that's interesting because when you take a marketing course or like any form of business course, and you talk about how the increments in size difference in fast food, you notice the size difference significantly like increase.
Oh yeah, like okay. So
like for example, just a cheeseburger.
Mm-hmm.
You go to McDonald's, just order a cheeseburger. That's the real size.
Yeah.
Of how every burger was
back in the day.
Yeah. Then you go order a Big Mac. Big Mac used to be smaller.
Yeah.
It's grown. And now we have like the Grand Big Mac.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And in America, which we don't have in Canada, they got the super size everything. The fries, the drink.
Yep, supersizing everything.
Yeah.
And let's be real here. When it's marketed to you, you don't want to see a small burger on the advertising.
I mean, also
you want
just
a giant burger.
it's just the way that they show it.
Yeah.
In commercial, like when they show the Coca-Cola and they shows little drops of water, they show the ice falling into it, like the sizzle of the carbonation, flow up, all of that stuff is man, I'm we have mastered marketing food to a degree where
we're fat.
Not just that, but it's sometimes you see a McDonald's commercial, you're I'm gonna go get a Big Mac for no reason.
It's just my mouth is.
You know what's crazy? Lately they've been advertising crazy. They're crispy chicken or their hot chicken, whatever. I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah,
but
something,
some chicken burger thing. Yeah. The amount of times I've seen that and been all it does is remind me how good the Big Mac is.
Yeah.
I see the M and all I think is I need a Big Mac.
Yeah, I think McDonald's.
And it's also that sauce.
Yeah.
That dang big. Okay. You know about the sauce, right?
Yeah.
How nobody knows how it's made.
Well, yeah, kind of.
I mean, there's somebody who knows how it's made. But the number of people is super limited.
I mean, technically we know how to make it now.
Well, yes, okay, but
you
back in the
day, buy the McDonald's Big Mac sauce.
But back in the day,
yeah, the secret sauce.
That was the secret sauce.
Yeah.
And it was coveted as it's the Coca-Cola recipe.
Yeah.
Right. It was coveted.
That's a kept trade secret.
Yeah, but it was this, of course, but it was this whole, but it was treated like that back in the day.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it was this super kept secret. And the story I mean not that I knew the story personally. It was my father who told me the stories. Back in the day, he's I met somebody who worked in one of the factories where they made the sauce. I'm you knew somebody who knew where they made the sauce? I'm so he knew how to make it. My dad goes, actually no. And I go, what? He goes, yeah. He's he worked in the factory where they would package it. And I go, wait, there's a specific place where he's yeah, because one place makes half of it.
Yeah.
And then another place makes the other half.
Yeah.
And then they would send it to his factory. Yeah. They put it all together and then package it. So
3 factories.
Yeah. And then he's they put it all together and then ship it out to restaurants.
Yeah.
And I was wow, that's so extensive. And then what if one guy quit at one he worked at one of the other went to work at the other one, so then he gets both ends. He's
but that wouldn't work.
He's they would never let you do that.
Yeah.
He's they would never let you do that.
Because they'd literally just go and ask you, where did you work before this?
Yeah.
Oh, I worked at the other McDonald's company. I'm sorry, but we
your name would just get flagged because you've already been on file.
Yeah.
Right. So it's one of those things where I'm man, that kind of level of secrecy.
Yeah.
It's
not unless you wore a flesh mask, secret identity. Went in there and was I'm Jorge. I've been working here for never because I never worked here, and I'm trying to get a job because family.
Pulls out your social insurance number, flags.
So close. Yeah.
No,
but I find it going back to the conspiracy theories. I just find it so interesting how people come up with something some crazy theories.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And there's some that are I could probably believe that. That's pretty reasonable.
Okay. Atlantis.
Okay.
Is one of those that's been around forever.
Yeah.
Okay. So Atlantis is a city that is struggling over there. My poppy fell off and I don't even know where it is. During the break I lost it. I lost it mid break. I don't know where it is. I don't know.
You were saying.
What was I saying? The
Atlantis.
I found my poppy. We'll cut right back. So Atlantis.
Yes.
All right. So Atlantis is one of those. I got my poppy back. If you're watching this, you can see it. No, what was I saying? In Atlantis, it was a city underwater, right?
Yeah.
And for the longest time, they made movies, they made TV shows, they made, you name it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even in Greek mythology, well, not really Greek mythology, but sort of Greek mythology, kind of mentions it, and then everyone's oh, it's the city where Poseidon lives or whatever. It's a whole thing, right?
Yeah.
But Atlantis apparently there's someone found a map by some Greek guy.
A really old map.
Yeah, I know. I think he was he was Roman.
Okay.
And in an area in Africa.
Yeah.
He had put Atlantis right on the coast, next to the Atlantic Ocean. And so if you go to that place.
Yeah.
Apparently there was some sort of earthquake that happened.
Yeah.
And a tsunami hit it.
Okay.
And the whole city, because it was built on sand.
Yeah.
The whole city got dragged into the ocean.
Okay.
So there are there's some remains of a city there,
Okay.
But like now because of population and changes and
Yeah.
all that's been changed. So, but the ongoing theory
Was that was Atlantis?
that was where Atlantis was.
Okay.
But it just got like, and that's how the theory of the story of the city underwater,
Yeah.
because it got literally swallowed by the ocean.
Yeah. See, like I can believe that.
Right.
I can believe that there was a city.
Yeah.
The water swallowed it up.
Yeah.
You know, thousands perished through time. You know, things grew over it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little hidden, but you can see a form of ruin down there. It's too hard to excavate due to the fact that it's underwater.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
There
also
could
like
be. There
it's
could
also
be
like
help
the,
secrets
it's also
there.
like the theory of the pyramids. You know,
Oh yeah.
the aliens made them.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, also like
Yeah.
Machu Picchu.
Also aliens.
No one knows. Well, like, okay, so actually, this is kind of interesting. So, the Europeans, well, actually, the Portuguese, specifically the Portuguese,
Okay.
they used to tell of these huge, incredible cities in the Amazon,
Okay.
and you know, and so like they would tell these like thousands of people live in the
Yeah.
Amazons, right? And then the Spanish showed up years later,
Yeah.
and they found nothing. There was nothing. Like they were like, yo, this one adventure guy, he must have been like,
He
there
must have been like.
there must have been some plant or something he was soaking at, because like there's nothing here,
Yeah.
right? But this we're talking like a couple of hundred, like 100 or so years later, right?
Yeah.
But then recently, they've been doing like scans because they're
Yeah.
cracking down on deforestation down there.
Yeah.
So they're doing like all these like satellite scans,
Yeah.
and they found these huge underground structures.
Wow.
Like these huge underground structures. And so the ongoing theory is that when the Portuguese were there,
Yeah.
there must have been some sort of disease
Yeah.
that one of the sailors had with him
Yeah.
that the population of the Amazons had never experienced before. And that just massacred everybody.
Yeah.
So like, say like, for example, say it was influenza,
Yeah.
right? Influenza showed up and no one ever has experienced influenza. They have no
Yeah.
idea how to treat it.
Yeah.
Like everybody's just going to die left and right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, so that's essentially what happened.
Yeah.
And then 100 years later, the Spanish show up and there's nothing there because the forest basically kept growing, right?
Yeah.
Because now there's no one to trim the trees, right? To
Yeah,
stop
there's
it.
there's no one trimming the trees. There's no one walking the floors. You know,
Right.
keeping moss down.
Right.
So it ate the rock, molding into nature.
Nature swallowed it.
Yeah.
Right. So when the Spanish showed up and there was nothing there, they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what's going on. Like,
See, it's also like that thing like rocks are growing.
yeah,
So like
rocks are growing.
rocks are growing.
They're also shrinking.
yeah, also shrinking. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, it's one of those things where that right. Imagine how long it went for that to be like a conspiracy. Oh, there's
Yeah.
cities in the Amazon, you know, not true. And then suddenly like modern era comes around.
Yeah.
Satellite does a scan and you're like, oh wait, the guy wasn't wrong. He's right.
Yeah. Like that's kind of crazy though. See, because like large structures are always questioned of how they were made
Right. Yeah.
because the amount of like manpower you need and the amount of discipline you need on those people and power over
and
them.
the thing too, I think, is that especially like when it comes to humanity,
Yeah.
it takes one guy with an idea
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
a ton of people
Oh yeah.
to execute that idea. Like
Oh.
now, especially nowadays, like with skyscrapers.
We're literally ants,
yeah.
and each country is their own colony.
Right.
But every city is their own colony, and then we all serve under a motherhead, you know, the premier. And then that premier serves another motherhead, the country, the prime minister.
Yeah.
And then that's like the finished like queen, and then there's other.
I think the mayor goes first, and then the premier.
Oh
and
yeah,
then
yeah,
the
the mayor. But like whatever, there's like a chain of command.
There's a chain of command.
There's a chain of command.
Yeah.
But technically, like the mother hive is like the person running the
collective.
country. Yeah.
I think there are times where I will just like,
And
especially
we look like ants from a height. You look down on us, we're like, oh my gosh, we're a bunch of little working ants.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it depends how high you are, but yeah. But I
Well,
think
not that kind of high. 'Cause if you're that kind of high, you can see anything.
I meant like altitude.
Oh, okay. So when you're in altitude. Yeah.
All right, what was I saying? I don't even know where I was going with it. I already lost my train of thought.
Well, 'cause ants.
Sometimes good. But no, but you get what I mean, right? Like,
Yeah.
and to say that in some things that we have that humanity has done in the past, they can't explain because we don't even know how to do it now.
Yeah.
Like it, and that's sort of like, oh, there's some sort of like super technology they had in the past that like lost on us. But at the same time, you're like, well, I mean, maybe you're just not thinking the way they were thinking with the limited technology they had.
Yeah.
Right? Like there are specific
things. Because like, for example, the pulley.
Yeah.
Limited resources.
Right.
Use their minds.
Yeah.
Figure out how to use a pulley.
Yeah. You know what's crazy about the pulley?
What?
Turned into hydraulics.
Yeah.
The pulley used to be like, they used to have like a pulley system.
Yeah.
For elevators.
Yeah.
Now we use hydraulics. Like,
kind of.
You know, like when you're in an elevator and like you feel that like lower, like, and then you bounce back up.
Yeah.
That's hydraulics.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think that like.
It depends where you are though.
It depends on the elevator.
Yeah.
Because not all elevators have that.
Yeah.
Only specific elevators. And I've discovered that it's the ones that go really high up.
Yeah.
Like it's like, cause they got to cushion the fall, right?
Yeah.
Cause like you just like and some like.
Yeah, it's like how if you're in a falling elevator.
Yeah.
Jump last second.
Yeah.
But this is my one major concern.
Yeah.
The elevator's broken. There's no power.
Yeah.
It's falling.
Yeah.
I don't see the tick. When do I jump? That's always been like, when you see it in movies.
Yeah.
Like I jumped. I survived. Great.
No. You're
Yay.
supposed to know like if you're on like floor 5. Or like even let's say you're on floor 15.
Yes.
You're supposed to know how long it takes for you to hit the floor.
No, I don't.
You're supposed to be able to calculate the math in your head.
In the middle of stress, I'm gonna be like, someone pull out a calculator. No,
I gotta do the math.
I'm gonna die. Before I can barely do 2 + 2 in the time I died. No.
That's just how it goes, my guy.
No. Imagine you calculate, you miss, you didn't carry the 1 or the 2 or something, and then you jump 1 second early, so you literally land and you land with it. Doesn't that suck?
Like, I mean, why don't you just why don't you just climb up the hatch?
And do what?
And like, well, cause like there usually
if I'm in a hydraulic one, yeah.
Okay,
what am I doing?
No. Okay, so this is what you do, right?
Okay.
It's like you're falling, right?
No.
Usually there's cables.
Okay.
Okay, so if you climb up the hatch, all you gotta do is jump off the elevator and grab onto one of the cables.
Okay. Now here's the thing. By the time I open up that thing, I find the screwdriver by some miracle.
It's literally an emergency hatch. It's like It's like a little, like the ones on buses.
Okay, I'm sure.
Like it's like a little red lever. You climb up that you can use the railing.
What railing?
There's a railing on the edge.
Not every elevator has a railing.
I
better hope there's a railing.
You know what, bro? I'm not gonna.
I didn't survive. Just because you were giving me all the scenarios, and we're both in the elevator, and I'd be like, no.
You died.
We're dead.
That's actually like that elevator we were in today, which you'll see in the vlog. That elevator has no hatch.
Yeah. No hatch. No railing. It scared me.
Yeah.
It was a little rusty.
I mean.
But it was fancy.
Wow.
But it was rusty.
What a fancy. Unsafe. Probably not even up to. No.
Anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here because I don't know where this is going.
I don't know what's going on anymore.
So. This has been Two Latin Brothers Podcast. Everything's always in the description, whether it be up, down, left, or right. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification or hit a follow, depending on the platform you're on. Make sure to share with your grandmother, your rooster, your donkey, your chinchilla, your Sputnik. I don't know.
Check us out on our socials,
Yeah.
Even though we don't post it all over there, check us out.
But follow us, check us out. Like everything. Just go,
like
everything. Start
just
from the bottom.
Like every single post, and maybe we'll follow you back.
Yeah, if you do it, I might give you a follow back.
Yeah, I follow you back.
Yeah.
I might even give you the password to the account for 24 hours.
Actually, no, we're not doing that. I'm scared. I know some people.
No, I'll follow you back.
Yeah, we'll probably follow you back, and catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Bye.